Good morning, Denver, surrounding Colorado area, and to all our Broncos fans abroad. I'm Devin, and you're watching Breakfast with the Broncos on Buffet Sports.
Uh, yeah, okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Dropping heat like every season. Underdog like Willie Beeman. Classic like Dom singing. Blasting like bombs ringing.
Justin Simmons has been a free agent for over 3 months now. On March 7th, Justin Simmons was cut from the Broncos after, of course, the large fallout with Russell Wilson and all that entailed. But I think we all thought he would get picked up way faster than it looks like a end of June, early July deadline, if at all. So where is Justin Simmons headed? And could we see a reunion in Denver? Obviously, he was getting paid too much then. We're low on cap now. So how could we get that done? Well, we'll talk about that too. So let's jump in. I know, no walk talk today. It's a short episode. Look, it's the off season. There's obviously not a ton to talk about during the off season, especially during this period of time where we're in between, OTAs and mandatory minicamp. We're somewhere in between there. It's going to slow down. It's mostly just going to come down to, who's popping, who's playing the best at mandatory minicamp, so on and so forth. But nonetheless, we're still going to be making videos, but they're going to be a bit shorter when it comes to Breakfast with the Broncos. I don't want to fill them with a bunch of garbage, so we'll keep them short, sweet, and when the season picks back up, obviously we'll have more to talk about, but I want to keep it relevant rather than just stealing your time. So let's get into Justin Simmons. There's a couple different teams that Justin Simmons has been attached to that I personally am kind of confused as to why he hasn't ended up there yet. We're going to get one out of the way here that I've seen like whispers about, and from some of the things I've read, they're thrown in there, but it doesn't make a ton of sense to me, if I'm being honest, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. They seem like one of the few teams that's got it figured out on the defensive end in the AFC outside of the Browns. They were great, and they've got Kyle Hamilton. So I'm kind of confused. I guess it's sort of a thing of the rich get richer. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm missing something huge. If so, leave it in the comments. But there's been whispers about the Ravens, but I just don't get it. The next team is sort of a whispers team, in my opinion, too, and that's the Miami Dolphins. I think it would have made more sense if Vic was still linked to them, but we're going to talk about him more with one of these other teams coming up. The Dolphins are a free agency team this year, not a fantastic draft, not a deep one either. So they're going to have to lean on the free agent market and hoping that difference makers will arise with the guys they already have in the building or are still available on the free agent market, and Justin Simmons could be that for them. I don't know what their cap situation looks like. Obviously, they just signed Jalen Waddle to a big contract. They brought in Odell in the offseason, but I believe they let go of the corner they brought in last year, whose name is slipping my mind. Give me a second. Xavier Howard, that's who I'm thinking of. They brought in Xavier Howard last year, and he's now on the free agent market. So they could bolster their defensive backs room. Obviously, Xavier Howard was a corner, but in today's NFL, well, I won't even go and say that. But Justin Simmons could be a target for them to just bolster that defensive backs room as a whole. The next one here is less of a stretch, more understandable, and I think is sneaky good. It's the Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell has ties, obviously, to Sean Payton. He was on his staff, and a lot of Dan Campbell's staff that's now under him was tied to Sean Payton as well. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility that his staff and him himself have reached out to Sean Payton and the defensive staff in Denver and tried to get the lowdown of what kind of player is Justin Simmons, what's his demeanor like, what kind of locker room guy is he, how does he do with film, what's his processing speed like, what's his work ethic like. It's not out of the realm of possibility they've called in. The big question I think here of why we haven't seen it happen is ultimately he wants a lot for a safety, but you're getting a lot of production. So I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility there. The link is a little bit out in the air because Sean Payton really only had 1 year with him, but it's there. There's sort of a link. And the final team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Why? Obviously, Vic Fangio's there, but there's rumors that he wasn't all that popular with the defense in Denver. Some guys really didn't like him, but Christian Parker's there, and allegedly he was one of the Broncos players' favorite coaches. So the system's there, the familiarity's there. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are there. An amazing role model for them to learn under. That makes a lot of sense to me, especially if Cooper DeJean does play safety in the NFL. Now, I think he should be playing corner, and the stereotypes that we all know that are going on in our heads right now shouldn't be a factor, but unfortunately they are. Either way, Justin Simmons could be a great addition to play right now and help the Eagles try and win a Super Bowl right now, while also bridging the gap for their newfound defensive backs in the draft. So that makes a ton of sense to me. And finally, could there be a reunion in Denver? And the short answer is not this year. Where are we going to get the money? We cut him because we needed to clear cap space for what we were going to do with Russell Wilson. And the cap is still this big. And we're in contract talks right now with Courtland Sutton. Even though they're sort of at a contract stalemate, thankfully he's still going to show up for minicamp. There's some other news for you, but we're not going to have the money. Maybe someone were to get injured this year and we could clear some cap to bring him back in a late beginning of the year, week 4 or something along those lines. If he's still on the market, I'd be very surprised if he is, but it's certainly possible. Another option could be next year. If he were to get signed to a team later in the year this year, just finish out the year and then be back on the free agent market next year. Guys like Tim Patrick their contracts are going to be up at the end of this year after being reworked, and they're going to be a hell of a lot cheaper. So there's going to be some cap room. Could Justin Simmons flex his salary next year and make a return to the Broncos? Maybe. Could this be a situation where we're the team who picks him up later in the year if he's still available and he's willing to just take a minimum contract? Those are kind of the two ways I think we could see Justin Simmons return. I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility for him to make a full return if he's still on the market next year. Like I said, I was surprised and sad seeing Justin Simmons go, but all good things must come to an end. So quickly, I alluded to this before, but we might as well throw it in here. Courtland Sutton is still at a stalemate with the Broncos currently in his contract talks, trying to get more guaranteed money, but he has made it clear he is still going to show up for mandatory minicamp, as well as he's appeared on a couple different Denver sports media shows I've seen on YouTube that I keep up with. So those are all promising things. It doesn't seem like it is hostile, but it just kind of seems like they're at a stalemate in terms of maybe what they value him at and obviously what he values himself at. He had a great year last year, 10 touchdowns in the red zone. We talked about it at length. If you want to see that, go back to 2 videos ago, I believe. I think that's right. And watch my breakdown of Courtland Sutton and his year. Ultimately, I think we'll see him return. I'd be sad to see him go, but again, all good things have to come to an end at some point. If news breaks or anything like that, expect to see it from us. We'll return to regularly scheduled programming next week, but the finals game was a couple days ago, so I want to make sure we got that video out. Again, I'm Devin, and you're watching Breakfast with the Broncos on Buffet Sports. We post every day, if not twice a day, on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at buffet.sports. Our only day we really aren't putting content out long form is Thursday. Otherwise, there's a ton out there. Leave comments. We do a comment show every Sunday. Ciao, guys.